Welcome to Palm Sunday, and we have a beautiful song for you to sing along. This is called A Light in This World. I'm a light in this world, and I shine and I shine and I shine so bright. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you want to stand and sway, this is a good 1, 2, 3 song. Here we go. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. Let's try that again. Beautiful. And if you want to stand up, I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. That's it. I am a light, I am a light, I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. Now turn to someone and sing, You Are a Light. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And turn to someone else and sing, You Are a Light. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, yes you do, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. Take it up now. And we are a light. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. We are a light. We are a light. We are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. We shine, we shine, we shine, we shine, we shine, we shine. Ooh, you're just glowing out there. Thank you.
Hey, Hill and Deline. Good to have you guys here. Good to have you in the house. Good to have you guys in the house. Good to have you in the house. Good to have us all in the house. It's just more fun when you're here. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday celebration. If you are here, good morning to those of you who are in the virtual world. If you are watching in real time, happy Sunday to you. Happy day before the eclipse. Big deal there. We'll talk about that. And what eclipse? The eclipse? No, there's an eclipse tomorrow morning, early.
Google it.
There's another one. There's two eclipses. Eclipses always come in twos. There's a full moon, which is a lunar eclipse, which is tomorrow at 5 Libra and Aries. And then there's a solar eclipse, which happens on the 8th, which is a new moon, and that happens at 19 degrees. Oops. You don't need the degrees. Well, you might. Anyway, more to come on that later. It doesn't matter. But anyway, good to have you all here this morning. Eclipse or no eclipse, whatever the case may be, here we are. It's also Palm Sunday, which is a very important day. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But anyway, a couple things I just want to say at the very beginning of service. And look at that. I did leave that note back. I think I got all three, though. So the first thing is I want to thank Jim Jones for coming in early this morning. And the coffee is exceptionally good this morning. He made it. So if you've had coffee this morning, thank Jim. He came in early, set up the tables, made coffee. Man, it was great. So that's happening. So thank you for that, Jim. The second thing that I wanted to say before I forget is the last couple months actually, we did what's known as a book study on It's Not Your Money. And in that we coupled it with something called unexpected income. And so for those that were in the book study, the caveat was just track unexpected income that shows up, and you get to keep 90% of it, and we would like to have 10% of it. So what happened is collectively that group generated about $11,000 in income. Yeah, pretty cool. So I'm thinking I want to do that again. So sometime after Easter, I will probably do a book study again, but I think I'm going to do it before service instead of after service because there's a lot of moving parts in this place on a Sunday. So anyway, that was happening. So I wanted to remember that. And then the third thing that I wanted to remember is we have some members in our community that are going through some health challenges, and as a community, how we can support them. They're going to be needing food and even periodically rides to doctor appointments. And Terry has graciously decided to take that on as the coordinator for that. We'll have sign-up sheets if they're not out. They're probably not out already. Nope. Sign-up sheets to come. But anyway, if you're interested in, one of them is Mark Weaver, and if you're interested in providing some food for him, what we'll do is we'll use this as kind of ground zero. You can bring it here because he lives out in Duluth, and we'll just make sure that he gets them. So talk to Terry about that. And then also Jennifer Dalio, who's one of our practitioners, she's having some challenges too, and she's going to be needing some food things as well. Anyway, the specifics of that, talk to Terry or talk to Andrea. They're going to have a handle on that and kind of coordinate that, but that's going on as well. So those were the three things that I wanted to remember. So, what were you listening to coming here today? What was on the soundtrack coming here today? You were on the phone with Jennifer, so okay, yeah. Cahill, Clara, what were you listening to? I know you're Cahill and Dillian, yes.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, what were you listening to coming over today?
One another. We were having a conversation.
You're having a conversation. Am I the only one that listens to music on Sunday mornings? I'm sorry, what? Soft hem?
Okay.
Soft jazz. Nice. Todd Wilkie. Very good. Very good. Yes. Paul Calabro. Nice. I'm not going to share now. Yes, Sherry. Phil Collins. Good. Anyone else? Anna Ballou. Nice. Cool. Good. Now I'm embarrassed. Inagata Devita. You know, I can start it in my driveway and it ends when I pull into the parking lot. Right. Bum, ba-da-da-dum. Anyway, so there's that going on. Anyway, so nice having you guys here today. And Craig, good to have you here always. How you doing?
Doing well.
You don't have a mic?
No, I don't have a mic.
share mine.
Thank you. You're so generous. I'm really happy to be here and happy to see all you and really just amazed by spring.
Yeah.
Lilacs are in bloom.
Lilacs are in bloom everywhere but our backyard.
You guys higher elevation?
No, we're not. We're in Temecula, where everything is challenged to grow. Everything.
I think that's the original Native American meaning of the word Temecula.
What?
Challenge.
Challenge? Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting adventure gardening out there. Anyway, so I think that's what all I want to say this morning, except that I'm just grateful that we're all here. And it just feels like something needs to be said. So I'll just it's like when I'm writing, I just keep writing until whatever wants to come out comes out. Yes. Oh yeah, St. Patty's Day. That was fabulous. That was fabulous. That was really, if you weren't there, you missed out. It was really a lot of fun. Yeah. And the food was good to boot. And Lee sang. Yeah. Okay. So we all came here not to just shoot the breeze, although as fun as that is, but let us begin our Sunday celebration with the inspiration of Craig, who will take us through a poetry reading, which will guide us into meditation, which will set the tone for the Sunday.
Thanks, Reverend Guy. And how about a prayer too? And I felt like that song was so beautiful. It was like a prayer, really just putting out what is true. Okay, so I invite you to just go within, however you do that. Perhaps closing your eyes and just feeling your body, knowing that your body right now is the temple of the thing called your spirit, your soul. So just allowing that to relax and just receiving the breath of life by just inhalation. Just bring in some breath, knowing that it is healing this body, nourishing this body, and just releasing, just letting go, arriving at this perfect moment. And what is perfect about this moment is the awareness that we all share that there is a power, a presence, a life that is here now. That is beyond names. I call it God. It in fact inhabits all time and space. So we just bring our awareness to its presence here now, and we're just knowing too that it is a power for good. Every form of good within the imagination, and that which just outstrips, that lies beyond the human mind. Certainly it is the power of imagination, just as we see the life around us with spring being transformed. It's an infinite mind. And in its capacity to love, to have compassion, its heart also is boundless. That is the presence that we're aware of now in all of its majesty and glory, and knowing then that it is the one life, that means that all life is just a part of it, is individualized expressions of this magnificence. So we then come to the understanding that we are a part of this life. In fact, that each of us is vital and necessary so that it may know and experience and express itself as only we can. So I'm also just knowing that as we come together with this awareness, it is so powerful and uplifting that it nourishes that spirit within us. So much so that we are overflowing. So it's in the spirit of this awareness that I'm just knowing, declaring the words of Reverend Guy, the music of Cahill and Deline, the gathering of intention that we share just resonates and expands our own awareness of this divine presence so that we are indeed blessed and a blessing to the world. And so it is. And imagination, our March theme, This poem is from that 13th century mystic and poet Jalaluddin Rumi, and it's called Imagining. Imagining is like feeling around a dark alley or washing your eyes with blood. You are the truth from foot to brow. Now, what else would you like to know? So just allow yourself for the next few moments to contemplate a new imagination. Just allow yourself to gently and beautifully come back to this room.
So we have a wonderful song that goes along with Reverend Guy's talk, New Imagination. So remember that song that Gene Wilder sang in the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Pure Imagination. And this is the perfect New Thought song, you will see. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of our creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. You will find in your mind there's a world of endless fascination. No more fun place to be than in your imagination. You can dream any dream. You can savor every situation. Life in there is a sensational sensation. If you want to see magic lands, close your eyes and you will see one. Want to be a dreamer? Be one. Anytime you please, and please save me one. There is no place to go to compare with your imagination. So go there to be free if you truly wish to be. Isn't that a sweet song? Thank you.
That was a perfect song. Beautiful. And I do remember it now. I wasn't quite sure when you said it this morning, but I got it. And what I love about that song is this idea about the imagination being really an individual experience, that it is ours. It is something that is unique and special about us. And I think one of the great dangers is how others want to commandeer our imagination, and how important it is for us always to nurture and to rehabilitate if necessary, but certainly re-engage our own imagination. And it's kind of interesting because I was thinking about that earlier today, before Inagata Devita, this thought, what is the difference between being spiritual and being religious? And I don't think it's an either or, for starters, but I think that there's a distinction. And this is my working thought for the day. The difference between being spiritual and being religious is being spiritual is believing what you love, and being religious is loving what you believe. So let me just place that a little bit again. So being spiritual is believing in what you love. In other words, what we love is our portal into the transcendent and the divine. And loving what we believe is how we come together as community. It's kind of how we identify ourselves, because that's kind of what a religious tradition is, or a theology, if you will. And like I said, I think that there should be room for both in our lives. Now, I'm an ordained minister, so obviously I'm like raw religion, right? And yet my religion, if I was to say, what is my religion? It's a good question, because it's kind of a garage sale of Celtic Druidism, Western occultism, Christian pantheism, and New Thought. and maybe some quantum physics stirred in for some seasoning, and probably other things to boot, And I was thinking that because what triggered it was I was reading in the Washington Post today. There was an article that there is a big push in our country right now that's being sort of commandeered by the Christian Taliban. I shouldn't call them that. The religious right, in which they're wanting to replace counselors in schools with chaplains. Chaplains in high schools. What could possibly go wrong with that concept? But here's the thing. Here was the thing, because they were interviewing different kinds of people about this, right? And one of the things that came up was one person saying, well, it is a chance for young people to get the word, to be exposed to the word. And then that got me thinking. Because, we live in we're celebrating, we're celebrating with the followers of Jesus and the Christian denominations, which are entering into one of the most holiest weeks in the calendar for them. Spoiler alert, this talk is going to have a lot of Jesus in it, so buckle up. So we have that going on. We're going to have Passover in another couple weeks, and we're in the middle of Ramadan. And there's the thought that, and that's a good thought, but it's like, if you think of the Christian denominations and where we all fit into that, and the Jewish denominations and the Muslim denominations, what is common, they say, is that we are all people of the book. Have you guys heard that before? There's the Quran, there's the Hebrew Bible or the Torah or the Tanakh, and then there's the Christian Bible or the New Testament, and that we're all people of the book, except it's not right. It's incorrect. In Islam, you are adhering to the book, the Quran, because that is the religion. That is the teaching that binds you. In Judaism, that is true as well. You follow the law, the Torah. But in Christianity, there is only one gospel, and that is a person, not a book. It is about an individual whose name was Jesus, an historic individual. And when you read the Gospels, they are not the gospel, but it says right at the beginning, these are the accounts. In other words, there's someone else's story about the experience. They're not historic documents. They're someone else's account. And what I would want to offer is that each of us here today can offer our account of how this individual has shaped our life, one way or the other. And again, it's not you're right, you're wrong kind of thing or whatever, but I think it speaks to maybe even a deeper issue that's at hand. And the deeper issue at hand, I believe, is this. We are hearing a lot these days, or I am hearing a lot these days. I probably should stop speaking in we, that would be religion, and speak more in I, my experience. I am hearing a lot, maybe you are as well, that, that politics are at an existential threat. Have you guys heard anything like that? This is the year. And what I want to offer is I don't think that is necessarily accurate. Because I think where the existential challenge is not so much on politics, but on religion. And something that Derrida says is that politics is downstream from culture, and culture is influenced by the religion, the theology. And theology, really at its most simple or basic form, is simply the lens by which we interpret the historic events or experiences of our life. And how we interpret is the lens by which we view the world. And from that point, we all collectively join. We love what we believe, which means we can challenge it and question it and delve into it and take it for a ride to see what works. Because that's what being in a loving community is all about, is the freedom to practice that. But at the end of the day, it's also about our own personal experience. However and wherever we arrive at that, and what tools we use to get us there. And I'll speak personally for myself. I am influenced greatly by the teachings of the man called Jesus from Nazareth, and the different accounts. And the one that seems to be inspiring me the most these days is the Gospel of St. John. And I want to talk about that in just a second. Well, maybe I'll just talk about it now. What I love about John is, well, and all of them, but John especially, is, the Gospel of John was written by, we assume it was a rabbi because of his knowledge and his insight, his lens by which he viewed the cosmic events. But it's not dangerous, that's a big word. It's concerning if we try to experience his account as if it was an historic event, or that he's writing about historic events. What I would offer is that the entire Gospel of St. John is a collection of parables, a collection of stories. Now, two questions remain for me that I'll talk a little bit about today, and then obviously next week because it's Easter Sunday. The first question that I sit with is, why did Jesus go to Jerusalem? Why did he go, knowing the danger that he would be in there? And I don't think that he went there with the intention of dying. And I don't, because if you read the different accounts, that doesn't hold water. So I'll play with that one in a second. And the second question is, why in the Gospels was there written that Jesus was resurrected from the dead, when the popular thing to do in those days was something called apotheosis? And apotheosis basically means that you are deified, that you are sort of raised up. The theology of Rome, the theology of Caesar, is one in which apotheosis was practiced. Caesar becomes a god. And even to a degree in the Old Testament, Elijah the prophet, he doesn't die, but there's an apotheosis. He's raised to heaven. He's, moved in there. But But Jesus isn't that. He's resurrected. He comes back from the dead. And so those are two questions that I just kind of sit with. And I think they're answered in parables. They're answered in stories. I mean, we know there's an historic Jesus because Josephus writes about him and other Roman historians write about him as well. So we know that he existed. It's not that question. But who he was and why he was is those are the different accounts. But John's is interesting because of the parallels he says. So if you were thinking in this moment, well, wait a minute. How can it be true if it's a parable? Well, let me offer you two thoughts to consider. There are two parables in the gospel, and in the gospel there's several parables. Jesus taught in parables. But think about the story of the prodigal son. Everybody know the story of the prodigal son? You know, two sons, one gets all his money, goes out and blows it, then repents and comes back, and his father welcomes him in, and the other son grouses and all this and blah, 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 blah. And then we all know that that was a story, but there's a truth in it, which ends, go and do the same. The same thing with this Good Samaritan. We all know the story of the Good Samaritan, right? The guy's on a road and he gets waylaid and he gets mugged and he's thrown on the side of the road and a priest goes by and a politician goes by and finally a Samaritan comes by and picks him up and cleans him up and takes care of him. Didn't happen, but we all understood it. We know what it means. And so when the parable ends and go and do the same, we understand what they're saying there, right? And so my offering is the entire gospel is about that. And the parables are about how you and I live in a world the way that it is. In this remarkably beautiful, messy, unfinished, imperfect world that we live in, including those who we love, who are wildly imperfect, messy, beautiful, and everything there, and how we navigate in a world such as this. How do we engage? How do we engage in this? So John's gospel is remarkably exquisite. In the three what are called canonic gospels, you've got all these stories about, you know, the origin of Jesus and how he came and what happened and all that other kind of stuff, you know, and was he, you know, the shepherds and magi and going to Egypt and coming back from Egypt and all these remarkable, interesting stories that nobody was there. No one knows if it happened or not. John doesn't even address those. The author of John says this: in the beginning was Logos, and Logos was with God, and the Logos was God. The Logos, or the Word, was with God in the beginning. Everything came into being through the Logos. And without the Logos, nothing came into being. What came into being through the Logos was life. And the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness. The darkness doesn't extinguish the light. And then he says, a man named John was sent by God. The story begins. But there's three words that I think are very interesting because they're almost like an overture. They set the tone of what's going to happen. Logos, life, love. Light, logos, love, life. So logos is a Greek word, and it deals with something. Essentially, the closest translation we could probably come is the divine wisdom of beingness, that which heals and reconciles and makes things new and creates. And it says in the book of Psalm that she was there at the very beginning of all things. She pre-existed everything. So before anything was wisdom. And what is that divine wisdom? Life. So it's almost like what John is saying is into the story is that this is all about livingness, life, how we live. In fact, later on, John will say that Jesus comes to say something like, and I have come to bring you life, and life in its fullness, life in abundance. And that livingness is the light that guides us, and that nothing that is the shadow of the darkness can compete with it or defeat it. I'm thinking in terms of something that Dr. Martin Luther King said. He says that, he says, hate cannot defeat hate. Only love can defeat hate. Because hate, anger, fear, these kinds of things are not sustainable. They're not resonant with the very force of that which creates and renews and expands and lives itself as you and I, which is life and which is love. So we would almost say then that the three things, what I would offer then is that the three things that that kind of like what is ours to do, what John is trying to say of how to live in this world is living in that divine wisdom, living attuned, living present to. The other thing is to live in such a way that that life that is ours radiates out. When Jesus talks about this kingdom, his kingdom not being of this world, let's get straight. He's not talking about going to heaven when you die. He's not talking about atonement or dying for your sins or any of that kind of stuff at all. He's talking about how we live and how we create a world where life is the most important thing. And that our role is to follow the divine wisdom and be a light in a world. Because if you think about it, the whole Easter story, I think, at some level, and I think about this in terms of Jesus, is that why did Jesus go to Jerusalem knowing there was a really good chance he would get killed? And I don't think that Jesus wanted to get killed. And the reason I don't is because when you read the other Gospels, especially the Gospel of Mark, it's very explicit that he had a strategy. He taught, as it says, he taught in the temple during the day. Why did he teach in the temple during the day? Because the crowds were there. It was Passover. He was safe. The last thing the Romans wanted to do is arrest somebody and start a riot. That would have been devastating. Jerusalem was a hotbed during that time. And so during the day, he'd go to the temple and he'd teach, and he was protected, because the last thing that you want someone saying is, why are we celebrating Passover? Why are we celebrating our liberation when we are occupied by someone else? That's the last thing you want going on. So the Romans and those who collaborated with him were pretty hands-off during the day. And then it says he went to Bethany at night. And so he has a strategy, right? He comes at the day to the temple and he teaches all day, knowing that he's protected by the crowds. And then in the evening, he leaves town. He stays with his family, or he goes someplace in Bethany. He lays low. So that was his strategy until he was arrested. So that to me says he wasn't there to sort of fulfill some kind of sacrificial mission, and he didn't have a death wish. He came because he was teaching about how to live and how to be in a certain way. And the story of the crucifixion is this. It is the highest wisdom of the world that put him to death. He was a non-violent activists that was challenging the authority of an occupying force. And it was totally legit and totally legal for that existing culture and government and kingdom to crucify him. That was the highest wisdom. Barbara Brown Taylor says this. She says, Jesus was not killed by atheism and anarchy. He was brought down by law and order, allied with religion, which is always a deadly mix. And then she goes on to say, beware those who claim to know the will of God and are prepared to use force if necessary to make others conform. Beware those who cannot tell God's will from their own. Yeah, ouch. Not that it's relevant today. Not like chaplains might not be a good idea. But do you see where I'm going with this? There's a contrast. The story of the cross, the story of the crucifixion is this world's highest wisdom is execution, annihilation, suppression, beating down. As I've quoted during the month, as we've been talking about a new imagination, I've been quoting James Hillman, or I've been quoting a book from James Hillman, where he talks about war is the result of a collapse of an imagination. War happens because we don't know how to do conflict. We don't know how to engage with each other without wanting to control, repress, sit down, win, that kind of thing. And so the whole message of Jesus then is one about how about if we create a world not based on power, not based on suppression, not based on Pax Romana, which is peace through strength, but through distributive justice, through reconciliation, through healing, forgiveness. Can you imagine what the world would be like if those were our guiding values? Could you imagine how your life would be if those were your guiding values? By the way, starting with yourself. Forgive, reconcile, heal, be curious. There's an interesting thing about Easter, how it's tied to spring, which is tied to Passover, and why they wrote them in, because it's about a new life, a new beginning. We were talking before service about feeling the energy of spring, and even in our garden, even in Temecula, there's life, there's budding. You can see it. You know, the roses that we cut back are sprouting. The lilacs, although not blooming, are green and sprouting, and everything but the bougainvillea looks alive and is engaged. So spring, it makes sense to that, right? And you know, it's interesting because in the ancient world, these are all based on a lunar calendar. Easter is calculated, fun fact for those who want to know, Easter is calculated because it is the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. Equinox, full moon, Sunday. So that's why there's a full moon tomorrow, and the first Sunday after the first full moon, which is tomorrow, after the spring equinox, which was Thursday or Wednesday, is how you get Easter, and it's calculated that way. And it's more complicated to talk about how Passover's calculated, let alone Ramadan. But they're all lunar, they're all moon, so we'll leave it at that. But what's interesting about this full moon is it's an eclipse. And eclipses in the ancient world, or in this world today, I mean, nothing has changed from the astronomy of eclipses, is that they run in patterns. They're called Saros cycles, which run about 2,000 years. And they repeat, or they happen in very close proximity every 19 years. So, times, seasons, years, cycles, how we participate in this interesting rhythm. What does it mean, and what does it mean for us? Well, consider this. The energy of this eclipse that's happening, that we're in today, this meaning today in a more global sense, not like the hour and the minute, but the day kind of thing, is in direct relationship to what was happening around this time in March of 2005. Where were you? What was going on in 2005 in your life? Don't figure it out at this moment, but play with this. I'm going to give you some dates here. Play with it. And what I would offer is that there is probably a close relationship to what happened in 2005 to what happened in 1986, to what happened in 1967 in Agata Devita. Times, seasons, years, cycles. And so let's just kind of play formulaically, like from a gospel point of view of John, which is really kind of almost a handbook of a mystery school, and ask ourselves this question: what is wanting to emerge in my life now? And how is this yearning that I may be feeling, that if I allow myself to be present, is something that was occurring in 2005, which was something that was occurring in 1986, which was something that was occurring in 1967. As a thought and I'm probably the only one old enough in this room to remember 1967, but what I would offer, or two, or three, 4, 5, 6, and all the hands go up. Welcome to the Hilltop Center for Old Hippies. But consider this, if you would, as a thought. So what is wanting to emerge? And in mystical languages, full moons are always about releasing something. Something has reached its fullness. Another fun fact: the full moons are about birth. There's something very interesting in the Gospel of St. John. I'd like to just read a little bit about that and then go into this before I lose my way here. So after Jesus was dead, a man by the name of Joseph, in John's parable, and it's a parable because no one was there, it probably didn't happen. It's not a point that he's trying to say, and this is exactly what happened, but this is the story that he tells, the parable. And so the question is, and the question never, by the way, when reading scripture, whether it be the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Bible, the Quran, or Lord of the Rings, the question is never, did it happen? But what does it mean? What does it mean? And so in this one, Jesus has died on the cross, and what's really interesting is that when the guards come to him, they put a sword in his side or in his belly. There's a hidden meaning here. And out come blood and water. Well, and I'm speaking to the women here, what happens with where blood and water are seen together? Birth. So it's as if there is a womb that is open and a birth that is happening with the death of Jesus. And so Joseph of Arimathea and a man by the name of Nicodemus, they petitioned Caesar. It didn't happen. And they want to bury, and this is where it's really interesting. They go, Nicodemus, the one who first had come to Jesus at night, was there too. He brought a mixture of myrrh and aloe, nearly 700 pounds in all. Following Jewish burial customs, they took Jesus' body and wrapped it with the spices in a linen cloth. There was a garden in the place where Jesus was crucified. There was a garden where Jesus was crucified? It's not an historic event. What does this mean? And in the garden was a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was a Jewish preparation day and the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus in it. In other words, as an imagination, this is a story about birth. It's a story about life. It's a story about fertility. You have the image of a womb, blood and water. They're using something called myrrh. I could go on and on and on. I can really nerd out about myrrh, but I won't. Except a couple things. Myrrh is collected by piercing the tree, and the myrrh bleeds out and becomes a resin, and the resin is used for sacred things like consecrating temples. So the myrrh is used to consecrate the body in a garden, not a graveyard, a garden, and a seed is planted and the anticipation of a new life, a new something that is wanting to happen. And so that is the energy that is present, or that John is wanting us to think about today in our own lives. What is wanting to emerge? And in order for it to emerge, what needs to pass? What needs to go? What needs to die in order for something else to be born in our life? And then the next question is, so the first question is, what needs to emerge, or what's wanting to emerge, what's yearning to emerge? And it's cyclical. Man, this thing just keeps showing up. And what am I finally going to get at and finally say, well, in order for this thing to happen, I need to let go of this. What old story, what old way, what old something needs to die to give birth? And then, what are the tools that I have at my access so that I can carve this out? And we know the tools according to John because he says them at the very beginning, the prologue of the story. Love, life, and logos. Love is expressed in the other. Love is expressed in the other. And the other is where we are changed, where we are made fully who we are by granting a presence in our life for the other, our partner, our community, the world. So love is present. Life is present. And where is life most expressed to you today? Spoiler alert, in your body. In your body. So how is reverence for your body? Because it's a tool to bring forth that which is wanting to emerge. It's not coming from outside of you, it's coming from inside of you, in the very being that you are living with. And then the logos, the divine wisdom. So here it is. We are in a cycle that is being celebrated universally, but becomes very personal. There is a rhythm. There is a geometry. There is an intelligence within this universe. We understand it from a mystical, metaphysical point of view through parable and story. And it becomes very personal when we look at the times, the seasons, the years, and cycles of our life, and how things spiral. And so what is spiraling in you today? What is spiraling in you today? What is being invited to be released today? Let go of, composted, planted. And what are the tools? The tools are whom you love and receive love from. The tools exist within your body today. The tools are the divine wisdom that is within you, that is there for you, and that when we are quiet, it is speaking to us, and it is always speaking about life and light and love and creation. And that is what this week is all about. Thank you.
Amazing.
Wow. This is why we love coming here. Yeah.
So we're going to do, speaking of 2005, March of 2005. That's so
Right.
funny you said that. Barry and I looked at each other because the song we're going to play right now, we wrote in March of 2005. And it's on our album, Songs for Humanity. And this is called I'm Listening. So this song is not about listening with our ears, but listening with our heart. And I must say, this is one of our favorite songs on our CD. And if you have a CD player, by the way, or a DVD player still, we have some CDs. Anybody have a CD player still?
Okay.
Good. Well, you can take a CD home. All right, here we go. Birds in the trees sing so sweetly. I've come here again for calm and serenity. Just open my senses and feel the earth's heart. I connect with this place in serendipity, 'cause I'm listening to all there is around me. I'm listening to escape the thoughts that are bound me. The world has greater secrets than I can even imagine. I'm learning and growing and loving, 'cause I'm listening. The words that I hear are not all that there is. There's so much more left unspoken. Now I will listen from my heart to yours, to realize our lives in synchronicity. 'Cause I'm listening to all there is around me. I'm listening to escape the thoughts that have bound me. The world has greater secrets than I can even imagine. I'm learning and growing and loving, 'cause I'm listening. Cause I'm listening to all there is around me. I'm listening to escape the thoughts that abound me. The world has greater secrets than I can even imagine. I'm learning and growing and loving, 'cause I'm listening to all there is around me. I'm listening to escape the thoughts that abound me. The world has greater secrets than I can even imagine. I'm learning and growing and loving, 'cause I'm listening. And I'm listening. And I'm listening. And I'm listening. There's a video of that, as you may remember, on your website. Yes, thank you.
That song was perfect. Written in 2005.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
March
today.
of 2005.
Go figure.
I was thinking about that 19-year cycle. 2005, I came to the Hilltop Center for the first time.
Wow.
1986, my older daughter was born. So,
Wow.
how about that?
Okay.
And being raised Catholic and listening to your talk, I understand why I heard the words amazing and wow. I can't articulate just how much your thinking and your process just kind of awakens my imagination. So thank you, Reverend Guy. Yeah.
Yes.
And thanks for the beautiful music. So in sync with Reverend Guy's words. So this is our time of giving and what to be said. Obviously, through our gathering, we are fed, we are nourished. Perhaps our imagination is expanded. And so naturally, the impulse is to give back. So that's the invitation. I find it so easy for me to do it online through DonorBox. It's something I don't have to think about, but whatever way you choose to give, it's just so well received, and it just allows us to continue to gather and to be inspired and to support and love each other. So whatever form you have, just place that gift by your heart, knowing that's where it's coming from. It's coming from this place of love, and it does good, and so it is.
So again, a big shout out to the Popoviches. Mike just was part of the tithe, but when you go out today, give Anne a big hug, because those of us who were here last Saturday had fabulous desserts that she made, and and apparently there's carrot cake today. Yeah, and Mike has got a big grin on his face. Yeah. How is the batter, Mike? Also, another shout out consistently in the most sacramental way which is possible, which is to take the elements of the earth and bring reverence to them that nourishes body and soul, is Matt, who bakes bread for us every week.
Wow.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness gracious. You know, that Catholic DNA in me is just happy. And I'm sorry, and banana nut bread from Chris. Fabulous, wonderful. You know, and let's see. I also want to thank anybody bring else food today. Nope, that's it for the food today. We'll have a feast. But I also want to thank, looking back there, as two other former Catholics, is Steve Burns, who is always here consistently. It's remarkable the stuff that this guy does behind the scenes. The tree of life that you see here is a product of his ingenuity. So we want to thank him. Yeah, it's a perfect symbol for us too. I think the tree of life, which is fabulous. So I want to thank him. And he's here every day, not every day, but he's here a lot. And he does a lot of work for us and gives, and he makes us sound good. And of course, our music director, we are so remarkably blessed to have Lee as our,
Lee Poulter.
yeah. And the greeters today were Matt and Susie and Walter. Matt was probably there too, and Bob was there. That was there. Terry is doing this thing for Mark and Jennifer and Andrea for all that she does, just, you know, helping the building run. And if I have forgotten somebody, Paul, of course, who does meditation on Thursdays, Jim, who Wednesdays, like I said, Jim, who teaches Sunday morning, Craig, who is our practitioner today. There's just so much there. And one thing that I do want to say before I end is if your heart has been touched in any way today, in any form, please do not leave without the benefit of prayer. And there's a dozen ways to go, but let me name 3, maybe 4. One is you can approach one of the practitioners and just say, do you have a minute to pray with me? They'll probably take you in my library and pray with you. And I would invite the practitioners up so you'll know who they are. That's Paul and Andrea and Liz, and Terry sits incognito back there. But if the practitioners want to come up or not, you guys are looking like you're maybe do or don't. Yeah, please come on up. So we have the practitioners. The second way is that Craig will be doing a prayer circle about 5 or 10 minutes after service in the Emerson room. So you can go and Craig will pray with you. The third thing is you can fill out a prayer request, and we pray during the week on those. And there's a group of practitioners that meet every week on Zoom, and we pray for everyone there. So there's lots of ways to get prayer. You can also make an appointment with one of the practitioners if you'd like to do some deep spiritual counseling with them or myself. The second thing I want to thank is Cahill and Deline. It's always fun when you guys are here. Thank you so much. And I was watching Barry, man. You were playing the piano and the flute together at the same time. Yeah, I can barely play my iPhone. So so I want to thank you guys for being here. Please visit the gift shop. We have the 3 Graces that are there, Noreen and Sherry, and Patty's not here today. But we got two out of 3, ain't bad. So the gift shop, there's all kinds of cool stuff in there for Easter. If you're done, I'm done. All that's left is to pray us out. So let us do that. So let's just take this place. I was thinking about prayer. What is prayer? You know, what does it mean for me to pray for somebody else? And I came up with this because a good friend of mine, if I said the word God or prayer, he'd run for the hills. But his brother just died. And so I thought, you know, what I can say is I am holding space as I seek the transcendent. I'm holding a place in my heart as I am opening myself to this divine presence that I see and feel and experience everywhere. Because there is only one life. It is unnameable, but I will use the symbol of God, and that it reveals itself in that yearning for life, because it is the source of all life. It inspires us through Logos, that divine wisdom. And it is the presence of love that unites and heals and makes all things whole. And so today, may each of us be filled with amazement and wonder and awe. May we all be surprised. May we all experience a deep and loving disruption to create a new imagination of what is possible for us as individuals, for this community, and the world. And so we let it be. So it is.
So it is. And please sing I Release with us. There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Let it all go. And this is what I have to say. And I release and I let go. The Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle and no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. And I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle and no more strife. With my faith I see the light. When I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for blessings, Hilltop. Thank you.
Distracted. Sorry.